Pergamon is a city in western Turkey, located in the Bergama district of Izmir province. The ancient city was built on a hill and served as the capital of the Attalid dynasty, under whom it became one of the most important cultural centers in all of Greece. Today you can visit the ruins at Pergamon. They are home to some pretty incredible ancient ruins, including an acropolis overlooking a large theater and stadium. Pergamon is in Bergama, İzmir province in western Turkey. It's located on the eastern shore of the river Küçük Menderes, also known as Bakasay, which flows into the Aegean Sea. For those who don't know, İzmir is a city of almost 3 million people, and is Turkey's third largest metropolitan area, after Istanbul and Ankara. Its location on Turkey's western coast makes it one of the country's most popular tourist destinations. Many travelers come here to visit nearby cities like Ephesus, Pamukkale or Sezim, but they also love coming to İzmir itself, and with good reason. Pergamon is in western Turkey, about a 3-hour drive away from İzmir. There are buses and trains that run regularly between the two cities. If you're flying into Istanbul and taking the bus to İzmir, then it will take a while longer to get there, about 7 to 8 hours in total. If you're flying into Pergamon, the easiest way to get to town is via taxi. The airport is only a 15-minute drive from the city center, and costs around €20 with luggage included. If you want to go on foot, or by bus, exit the terminal and turn right, then cross over at the intersection between McDonald's and Burger King. You'll see signs for shuttle buses heading toward İzmir Adnan Menderes Airport, about 3 blocks away, where you can catch a dolmus, a shared minibus, to take you into town. When was Pergamon built? Pergamon was founded by Attalus I Soter in 281 BC. This Greek city-state was a major power during the Hellenistic Age, controlling much of present-day Turkey and Syria until it was conquered by the Roman Republic in 133 BC. During its peak from 200 BC to 100 AD, Pergamon was one of the most powerful cities in the world and served as an important center for trade and culture. In fact, many famous artists lived here at this time, including Apollodorus of Damascus architecture, Apelles painting, Eumenes II sculpture, and Phairomachos painting. Acropolis in Pergamon was used for a number of different functions over time. It was first used as a fortress from the 2nd century BC until the 1st century AD, when it became a sacred area. In the 2nd century AD, Attalus I constructed one of his family's many temples on top of the Acropolis, this one honoring Athena Polias, Athena, who protects cities. The library and museum were also added during this period. During Roman rule, beginning in 133 BC, Pergamon became part of Asia Minor, and was governed by Rome through proconsuls, who served as governors while maintaining local autonomy over religious practices. During this time period, an amphitheater was built at the base of Mount Pion, which has since been destroyed, that could seat 20,000 people at one sitting. In addition to being used as a fortress during both Byzantine and Ottoman rule, the latter lasting from 1402 to 1923. After World War I, there were plans to add additional structures atop Mount Pion, but these never came to fruition due to lack of funds. Thus visitors today can still see remnants from earlier eras, such as columns from earlier civilizations dating back all the way back before 600 BC. Temple of Trajan was built in honor of the Roman Emperor Trajan. It was constructed in 109 AD by the architect Apollodorus and his team of architects, who were all Greeks from Miletus. The temple is a 2-story building with a large staircase and a colonnaded front that leads to 4 columns on each side. It is considered one of the best examples of Roman architecture in Anatolia, but it also has similarities to other temples found throughout Greece and Rome at that time period, because they all had similar layouts and designs which were meant to invoke awe, respect, or admiration among visitors or worshippers alike. The altar of Zeus at Pergamon was constructed in the 2nd century BC. It consists of a 50-foot-high platform, which is surrounded by 24 fluted columns made from Pentelic marble and topped with Corinthian capitals. The altar itself was 6 steps high and 12 meters long, with 8 steps down to the main floor. It was built with a wooden core covered in layers of stone blocks, which were then faced with marble slabs that were painted blue, red and yellow. The altar was excavated in 1878 by German archaeologist Karl Humann and his team during their 2nd season of fieldwork at Pergamon. The site had been discovered when workers were digging for building materials. In today's money, it would have cost £2 million to build this vast structure, but fortunately time has eroded much of its beauty, so you needn't worry about spending too much money on visiting it. Nowadays there is only one small part left. The remains of its base can be seen just outside Berlin's Pergamon Museum, where they form part of an outdoor exhibition called The World's Greatest Monuments. The ancient town is located in modern-day Bergama, Izmir province in western Turkey. The ancient town of Pergamon is located in modern-day Bergama, Izmir province in western Turkey. The town of Bergama is located about 30 kilometers to the east of the ancient town. Because this city was the main center for learning and culture during its time period, it holds many historical landmarks that have been preserved over thousands of years. Where is the Roman theater of Pergamon located, and how do you get there? The theater of Pergamon is located in the center of the ancient city, near Teatro Mevki, and near the main entrance. You can get there by walking from these points, or by taking a taxi. The theater was built in 2nd century BC, when Pergamon was one of the most important cities in Asia Minor and Greece. It was used for plays, musical performances, and other events until it was damaged by an earthquake during an earthquake that struck Ephesus, now Seljuk, in AD 56 to 57. It was then repaired, but closed due to further damage caused by an earthquake in 178 AD. The ancient Greek city of Pergamon is found in the Bergama district of Izmir, Smyrna, in Turkey. Pergamon was an ancient Greek city in modern-day Bergama, Izmir province in western Turkey. Pergamon sits on a hill overlooking the valley of the Caicus River, and commands a strategic position overlooking the east coast of Asia Minor, from where it could control both land and sea trade routes. Pergamon is located in the Bergama district of Izmir, Smyrna, in Turkey. It lies on a point of land that extends southward from the Bacchus and Caicos rivers into the Aegean Sea. Pergamon was located on a point of land that extends southward from the Bacchus and Caicos rivers into the Aegean Sea. The city was built on a hill overlooking the river valley, with fertile, easy-to-work fields extending in all directions around it. When Alexander the Great stopped by Pergamon in 334 BC, he found a city of about 30,000 people, beautifully laid out under its acropolis. Alexander's successor, Seleucus I Nicator, took over Pergamon in 281 BC and built his own palace on top of the acropolis. His son Antiochus I Soter added a great colonnade to the propylaea, the gateway, and commissioned a giant statue of Zeus from Phidias, the most famous sculpture ever created by this legendary artist. Pergamon was a center for learning, with a renowned medical school, one of the first public libraries, and an early theater gymnasium complex designed for philosophical debate. Pergamon was a center for learning, with a renowned medical school, one of the first public libraries, and an early theater gymnasium complex designed for philosophical debate. The library contained over 200,000 scrolls in its heyday, and is considered to be one of the most important libraries in ancient Greece. The ancient theater at Pergamon was notable for its advanced acoustics, which could host all kinds of events from gladiator fights to political speeches. It could also seat up to 15,000 people at any given time, a feat that had not previously been achieved by any other stadium in Greece or Rome at that point in history. The famous Library of Pergamon held 200,000 scrolls, and is considered to have been one of the largest libraries in the ancient world. The Library of Pergamon was the second largest library in the ancient world, after that of Alexandria. It was built by Eumenes II between 210 and 190 BC, and included a colonnade with 133 columns, which surrounded a rectangular courtyard. The library held 200,000 scrolls, and is considered to have been one of the largest libraries in the ancient world. The library survived until A.D. 262, when it was destroyed by a fire started by invading Goths during their siege on the city. Many of its works were lost forever, but some were saved, including those by Aristotle, Plato and Homer, along with many others, including those by Herophilus, often referred to as Herodotus, an early Greek anatomist, who is believed to be one of only two people ever granted permission to dissect humans while he was alive, the other being Rufus. In a dramatic gesture to rival Alexandria and Athens, Mark Antony began to ship their books to Egypt after his victory over Cleopatra at Actium in 31 B.C. By A.D. 41, Rome had accepted 160,000 scrolls from Antony's fleet at Pergamon as spoils of war. The Library of Pergamon was built by the kings Attalus I and Eumenes II in the 2nd century B.C., and it became a center for learning that rivaled Alexandria and Athens. In a dramatic gesture to rival Alexandria and Athens, Mark Antony began to ship their books to Egypt after his victory over Cleopatra at Actium in 31 B.C. By A.D. 41, Rome had accepted 160,000 scrolls from Antony's fleet at Pergamon as spoils of war. The library was destroyed by fire around 100 AD, but rebuilt soon thereafter by Trajan's wife Plotina, who also paid for the construction of an aqueduct. The structure continued to house individual libraries until about 400 AD, when it was converted into an imperial residence, the Marble House. The ruins are still visible today. They were rebuilt in 1935 to 1936 under Mussolini's regime using concrete blocks instead of stone. The ruins of this important city are worth seeing when visiting Turkey. The ruins of this important city are worth seeing when visiting Turkey. The ancient site of Pergamon is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and offers the opportunity to see two different cities: the ancient city, which dates back to the 2nd century BC, and has been preserved for about 2,000 years, and the modern city that was built on its remains. Pergamon is located about 15 kilometers from Bergama, ancient Pergamon, in southern Turkey. You can visit both sites in one day if you want. It takes less than an hour to travel from Bergama's center by taxi or bus. A visit to Pergamon can be a great way to spend a day. A visit to Pergamon can be a great way to spend a day. The ruins are well preserved and spread out over a large area, making it easy to get lost in them while you explore the ancient city. The site is also easily accessible from Izmir, which makes it a convenient day trip if you want to see some of Turkey's most famous ancient ruins, but don't have enough time for something like Ephesus or Pamukkale. A visit to Pergamon can be a great way to spend a day or two. You can drive there, or take the train from Istanbul and Izmir. The ruins are spread out over a large area, so it's best if you take public transportation, instead of trying to walk around everything on foot. There are also buses that run from Bergama to Pergamon every hour during daylight hours, and cost about 2 TL per person each way.